The woman Hollywood could never control. She didn't chase fame. She didn't beg for attention. She didn't sell controversy. Yet, she became one of the most respected women in Hollywood. At 13, she starred in a film most adults couldn't emotionally survive. At 18, she rejected blockbusters to go to Harvard University. At 29, she won an Academy Award. And when Hollywood tried to put her in a box, she walked away, disappeared, and came back stronger. This is not just the story of an actress. This is the story of intelligence versus fame, discipline versus temptation, and how Natalie Portman rewrote the rules of success. Natalie Portman was born in 1981 in Jerusalem, Israel. Her birth name wasn't Natalie Portman. It was Netta Lee Hirschlag. Her father was a doctor. Her mother was an artist and homemaker. From the very beginning, her world was structured around education, discipline, and values, not fame. When she was 3 years old, her family moved to the United States, and Natalie grew up mostly in New York. Even as a child, Natalie was different. She was academically gifted, deeply curious, highly disciplined. While other kids dreamed of stardom, Natalie dreamed of knowledge. She later said, "I was always more interested in school than anything else." Hollywood wasn't her plan. It was an accident. At 10 years old, Natalie was spotted by a talent scout while eating pizza with her mother. The scout saw potential. Natalie saw a choice. She didn't jump in blindly. Her family set strict rules: education first, no exploitation, full parental control. She even refused modeling offers, saying she wanted to be known for her mind, not her appearance. At just 13 years old, Natalie was cast in a controversial film, Léon, the Professional, 1994. She played Matilda, a traumatized girl surrounded by violence, loss, and emotional danger. It was not a safe role. It was not a simple role. But Natalie delivered something unforgettable. Her acting was quiet, controlled, emotionally devastating. Critics were shocked. Hollywood immediately noticed. But Natalie noticed something else. Attention can be dangerous. Instead of enjoying fame, she became more guarded. She chose a stage name, Natalie Portman, using her grandmother's maiden name, not for branding, for privacy and protection. After Léon, Natalie understood one thing clearly. Hollywood could give success, but it could also take identity. So she made a decision that would define her entire career. She would never let acting replace education. And that decision would soon put her on a collision course with the industry itself. While studios chased her with scripts, Natalie Portman was preparing to do something unheard of. She would turn down massive fame to pursue knowledge. And in doing so, she would prove that intelligence could be the most powerful rebellion in Hollywood. After Léon the Professional, Hollywood assumed Natalie Portman would do what most child stars do: cash in, do more films, stay visible. Natalie did the opposite. She slowed down. Offers poured in. Big studios, lead roles, long-term contracts. But Natalie and her family said no, again and again. Why? Because Natalie refused to sacrifice education, personal boundaries, mental growth. She once said, "I didn't want acting to be the only thing defining me." To Hollywood, this was confusing. To Natalie, it was survival. While other young actors were chasing red carpets, Natalie was attending regular school, studying advanced mathematics, reading philosophy and literature. She deliberately took fewer roles, not because she lacked opportunity, because she valued control. Throughout the late 1990s, Natalie appeared in selective projects: Beautiful Girls, 1996, Mars Attacks, 1996, Anywhere But Here,
1999. That last film earned her Golden Globe nomination Best Supporting Actress at just 18 years old. Still, she didn't chase momentum. She chose something far riskier. In 1999, at the peak moment when fame was within reach, Natalie Portman enrolled at Harvard University. She studied psychology. Hollywood was stunned. Agents warned her, "You'll disappear." Natalie didn't care. She later said, "I'd rather be smart than a movie star." That sentence alone made her different forever. Even while studying at Harvard, Natalie didn't quit acting completely. She balanced both worlds. During this time, she joined one of the biggest franchises in cinema history. First major break, Star Wars, 1999 to 2005. George Lucas cast Natalie as Padmé Amidala in Star Wars: The Phantom Menace. Suddenly, Natalie Portman was part of a global phenomenon. Millions of fans, massive box office, worldwide recognition. But with fame came backlash. The Star Wars prequels were divisive. Critics were harsh. Natalie faced intense scrutiny. She later admitted, "People said my career was over before it even began." For a young actress, this could have been devastating, but Natalie had something most didn't. She went back to Harvard. She finished her degree. While the world debated her acting, she graduated with honors. In 2003, Natalie Portman graduated from Harvard. No scandal, no breakdown, no lost direction, just clarity. She had survived child stardom, franchise pressure, and public criticism, and she had done it without losing herself. With education complete and global recognition secured, Natalie Portman returned to Hollywood, not as a former child star, but as a woman with leverage. What came next would erase every doubt and earn her the highest honor in cinema.
After graduating from Harvard, Natalie Portman returned to Hollywood with something rare: clarity. She didn't need validation. She didn't need attention. She needed the right roles. And she was ready to take risks most actors were afraid of. Instead of choosing safe commercial projects, Natalie deliberately moved toward challenging material. She worked with directors who valued psychology over spectacle. Films like Closer, 2004, Garden State, 2004, V for Vendetta, 2005. Each role was different. Each one erased the image of a fragile child star. In Closer, Natalie played Alice, a mysterious, emotionally complex woman. The role was sharp, sexual, emotionally layered. Critics praised her fearlessness. She won Golden Globe Best Supporting Actress, Academy Award nomination Best Supporting Actress at just 23 years old. This was no longer potential. This was proof. Instead of capitalizing on Oscar buzz with romantic leads or studio formulas, Natalie did something radical. She shaved her head. Natalie played Evie Hammond, a woman transformed by fear, loss, and revolution. She physically altered herself, emotionally exposed herself. The film became a cult classic. Natalie proved something crucial. She was willing to disappear to serve the story. Hollywood respects that. By her mid-20s, awards credibility, global recognition, franchise experience. But Natalie avoided celebrity culture. No scandals, no tabloid games, no desperation for relevance. She kept her private life private, and that silence made her more powerful. Then came the role of a lifetime, Black Swan. Natalie played Nina Sayers, a ballerina descending into obsession and madness. The preparation was brutal. Extreme weight loss, professional ballet training, psychological immersion. She later admitted, "I was physically and emotionally destroyed." But the performance was undeniable. For Black Swan, Natalie won the Academy Award, Best Actress, Golden Globe, Best Actress, BAFTA, Best Actress, at 29 years old. She stood on the Oscar stage, pregnant, calm, composed, the same girl who once chose Harvard over Hollywood. The industry had no doubts left. Natalie Portman,
was officially among the greats. With the Oscar came bigger expectations, fewer mistakes allowed, constant comparison. Natalie had reached the summit. And as history proves, the top is where pressure is heaviest. After winning Hollywood's highest honor, Natalie Portman faced a question few actors are prepared to answer. What do you do after proving everything? The choices she made next would confuse audiences, divide critics, and once again test her resolve.
Winning an Oscar changes everything. For Natalie Portman, it changed expectations. Suddenly, every role had to be Oscar-worthy. Every performance had to be flawless. Every choice was judged more harshly. The pedestal became a prison. After Black Swan, Natalie found herself in a difficult position. She couldn't repeat herself, but she also couldn't fail. This is the danger zone for many award-winning actors, and the industry was watching closely. Natalie took on large, high-profile projects. Thor, 2011. Thor: The Dark World, 2013. These films brought massive box office, global exposure, franchise stability, but critics felt something was missing. The roles didn't challenge her the way Black Swan did. Natalie sensed it too. She later distanced herself from long-term franchise commitments. Behind the scenes, Natalie felt constrained. Studio films meant less creative control, more compromise, fewer risks. For someone who thrived on depth and complexity, this was draining. So, she made another pivot. Natalie returned to smaller experimental films like Jackie, 2016, Annihilation, 2018, Vox Lux, 2018. These weren't crowd pleasers, they were statements. Playing Jacqueline Kennedy, Natalie delivered a restrained internal performance. No theatrics, no imitation, just grief and control. The result? Academy Award nomination, Best Actress, universal critical respect. This wasn't a comeback, it was a reminder. Natalie Portman's career was never about constant success. It was about reinvention, intellectual curiosity, and long-term credibility. Ups and downs weren't accidents, they were choices. To casual viewers, she disappeared. To industry insiders, she protected herself from burnout and stagnation. Natalie once said, "I'm not interested in being famous for being famous." That philosophy cost her short-term popularity, but secured her longevity. As her professional life evolved, Natalie's personal life was changing too. Marriage, motherhood, activism, and with them came a deeper definition of success. For someone who guarded her privacy so fiercely, Natalie Portman's personal life was never about headlines. It was about alignment. Natalie was never part of Hollywood's loud dating culture. She avoided public drama. She avoided spectacle. In 2012, she married French dancer and choreographer Benjamin Millepied, whom she met while working on Black Swan. Their relationship reflected Natalie's values: creativity, intellectual respect, and privacy. Together, they had 2 children. Motherhood changed her rhythm. After becoming a mother, Natalie became more selective. She once said, "You're not just choosing projects anymore, you're choosing how to spend your life." Work became intentional. Time became valuable. Visibility became optional. Away from films, Natalie became increasingly vocal about issues she believed in. She advocated for women's rights, equal pay in Hollywood, environmental causes, and ethical consumption. She famously declined an award ceremony in protest of policies she opposed. This wasn't trend-based activism, it was principle-based. Natalie didn't just act, she directed and produced. Projects like A Tale of Love and Darkness 2015 proved she wanted authorship, not just participation.
She wanted stories told with intention. Natalie Portman's legacy is not measured by box office numbers alone. It's defined by discipline over distraction, intelligence over impulse, choice over chaos. She proved you can be brilliant without being loud, walk away without disappearing, and win Oscars and still protect your soul. Natalie Portman was never trying to conquer Hollywood. She was trying to understand herself, and in doing so, she built a career rooted in purpose, patience, and power. Her story reminds us, fame fades, intelligence lasts, and legacy is built by the choices no one applauds.